session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about gender parity, an important topic you may get as a passage in prelims or mains. Let us start the session with the question, what is enrichment? As usual, comprehension skill, vocabulary, grammar consolidation, effective English, mini mocks, and vocab consolidation. When you ask the question, what is this about? The passage discusses the findings and implications of the Global Gender Gap Report. It's all about the Gender Gap Report. Regarding that report, the findings and implications, and who released this, released by the World Economic Forum, WEF. What is the tone of the editorial? Good morning. The tone of the editorial is concerned and urgent, based on the rank, based on the progress. Let us go to editorial vocabulary. The very first word, based on this, the whole article has been written, gender parity. Generally, we say gender equality. Gender equality, gender parity both mean the same, but parity is a better word. It goes with effective English. The state or condition of being equal, especially regarding status or pay. The company strives, excuse me. The company strive means to work very hard, to put in a lot of effort. The company strives to achieve pay parity between men and women. Almost all the companies try to do the same thing, but it doesn't happen in reality. There's a discrepancy between men and women when it comes to the workplace, especially the payment. Synonyms, equality, equivalence, uniformity. Disparity, an important word I've just used. Inequality, imbalance. Glacial. To understand this, first you have to know a particular word, and a related word is also equally important. One is glaciers, the other one avalanche. Glacier means a thin sheet of snow or ice moving very slowly. And when it comes across a slope, it falls down with a lot of force. And that is known as avalanche, an important word. And also you have to recollect one more you have to know. Blizzard. And I'm giving the related words. Frostbite. Blizzard means snowstorm. And if you take frostbite, when you're exposed to a lot of cold, your fingers become numb. Here the letter B is silent. And after some time, if you neglect, that results in gangrene. You may lose your fingers, the shape, they may go out of shape. All related words. Icy, frigid, slow, unhurried. Based on the context of the editorial, glacial pace means very slow, damn slow. Snail's pace. Based on that, you have to consider these two words, slow, unhurried, rapid, fast, nothing to do with warm. Grim reality, combination words, grim future, grim reality, grim picture. Obviously, based on the combinations, you should know it is adjective. Forbidding or uninviting, not exactly. Here it means more causing feelings of sadness or worry. It goes more with sadness, worry, melancholy. The news of the disaster painted a grim picture of the future. Bleak, somber, harsh, dismal. These three words are important, you have to remember. Cheerful, pleasant, bright, optimistic. A regression, progress going forward, a regression going backward. Part of speech noun, a return to a former or less developed state. After years of progress, the city experienced a regression in its economic growth. Going forward and coming back, that then we say regression. Synonyms, reversion, relapse, decline. Simple word, relapse you have to remember, decline we have got many a time. Antonyms, progress, advancement, improvement, simple words. Empowerment. Today we talk about empowerment of women. They have given many a time. You may get as a passage. What does it mean? Participation noun. The process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. There are two things: to be able to control one's life, to be able to exercise one's rights. Then that is known as empowerment. Look at the example. The program is designed to promote the empowerment of women in rural areas. Authorization, enablement, enfranchisement. Antonyms, disempowerment, oppression, subjugation. These two words you have to remember. Suppress, oppress, subjugation, important words. From that you get empowerment. Staggering has many meanings, and in this context, deeply shocking, astonishing, staggering cost means too much, overwhelming. Exactly, Roger Rani. You may get as a passage. The staggering amount of money raised for charity exceeded everyone's expectations. Astonishing, astounding, overwhelming. We have got these words many a time. Unimpressive, ordinary, expected. Slew takes a preposition of a large number or quantity of something. We also use the word series, a number of something, many, then we have to say slew of measures. Look at the example. The company faced a slew of problems after the new policy was implemented. Synonyms, multitude, array, host. Not exactly. Lack, dearth, paucity. All these go with shortage. Chores. How do you pronounce this? Chores. Sounds like a Hindi word, but it is an English word. Participation noun. Routine tasks, especially household ones. Every day we do certain things regularly. For those things, regular actions, chores. She spent the entire morning doing household chores like cleaning and laundry. Tasks, duties, jobs. Here people mispronounce, they say leisure time. No, leisure. Leisure, relaxation, recreation. Simple words. I guess that is the last word. Let us go to the editorial. Two steps back. Usually we say one step forward, two steps back. Means what? You make progress. But what happens after progress also, it is like worse than before. Two steps back. Two steps back on India and the Global Gender Gap Report 2024. But what is the main idea? India needs to close the gender gap in education and politics. Gender gap, certain areas are there. Editorial says, based on the report, there are two areas India has to work upon. One is education, the other political empowerment. These two areas, the gender gap is more significant. That has to be reduced. Gender parity may be climbing upwards worldwide, with a global gender gap standing at 68.5%, closed in 2024. But glacial pace of change. Pace means speed. Glacial pace means very slow. To substantiate that, it was 68.4%. From 68.4% to 68.5% in 2023 is a grim statistic. Today's editorial, in fact, very short and all based on facts and figures. There's nothing to explain as such. Everything is based on facts and figures. One reading you will be able to comprehend. At this rate, it will take 134 years to reach full parity. Imagine the same pace continues. It takes 134 years and 5 generations to reach gender parity or equality. At this rate, it will take 134 years to reach full parity. The Global Gender Gap Report released by the World Economic Forum last week pointed out roughly 5 generations beyond the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal SDG target. 5 generations have to wait and it takes about 134 years to get that gender equality or gender parity. Any editorial related to gender equality, first you have to guess the broad framework. They may start with the report. Based on the report, that acts as the stimulus. Who published the report? What does the report say? And what is good, what is bad? And they consider many countries. Which country is doing well? Which country is not doing well? Where does India stand? If India is not doing well, what are the reasons behind? And what are the possible solutions? This editorial also follows the same framework. Iceland maintained its number one rank, 93.5%, phenomenal, and is also the only economy to have closed over 90% of its gender gap. Closed almost to 90%, that is again highly impressive. Where does India stand? India has slipped two places to 129 out of 146 countries. If you take 146 countries, earlier it was 127, slipped two places, it came to 129. Last year it was ranked 127 after having jumped eight places from 135 in 2022. 2022, 135. 2023 came to 127, progress. But 2024, two steps back, 129. Based on that, editorial says two steps back. Progress, you make progress, but after that, the situation is worse than before. India has closed 64.1% of its gender gap in 2024. The report noted, leaving policymakers with a huge window of opportunity to do better. Based on the progress, based on the improvement, marginal, there's so much to do. Further, leaving policymakers with a huge window of opportunity to do better. The slight regression, 2 points going back. The slight regression, according to the report, is mainly due to small declines in the spheres of education and political empowerment. At the outset, the editorial touches the two areas. One is education, the other one is political empowerment. But there's one important word, sphere. Sphere means a field, a particular field. You have to recollect words like realm. How do you pronounce this? Realm. And also arena. Arena goes with sports, it also goes with a particular area. It goes with politics as well, political arena. With a population of over 140 crore, even two steps back means staggering numbers. We may think only two steps back, but look at the population 140 plus crore, definitely two steps also, it makes a huge difference. And the numbers could be staggering, means overwhelming. Though India, it pointed out, had shown a slight improvement in economic participation, positive dimension, and opportunity for the last few years, it would need 6.2 percentage points more to match its 2012 score of 46%. Some areas improvement is there. One is economic participation and opportunity, but India would need 6.2 percentage points more to match its 2012 score of 46%. One way of achieving, the second part talks about how to achieve this. One way of achieving the objective will be through bridging gender gaps in, say, excuse me, please excuse me. One way of achieving the objective will be through bridging gender, say, the labor force participation rate 45.9%. To do that, one area is labor force participation, editorial opines, and to bridge that gap, it suggests a few things. What are those things? To do that, a slew of measures, means a range of measures, must be in place. What are those? One, from ensuring that girls do not drop out of higher education. Two, providing them job skills. Three, ensuring safety at the workplace. And four, helping them keep a job after marriage by sharing responsibility for chores at home. Some sort of responsibility should be there. Only then they can continue with the job. In education, the gap between men and women's literacy rate is 17.2 percentage points wide, leaving India ranked 124th on this indicator. When it comes to education, range, it means range, series of. I have already given the meaning. Initially, we start with the words and the meanings. Perhaps you joined a little late. A range. When it comes to education, the gap is 17.2 percentage points wide and the rank is 124th. India has fared better, means has done well in political empowerment index, but women's representation in parliament continues to be low. They contested in elections 800, but the representation only 74 won, I suppose. The next two sentences talk about that. For confirmation, look no further than the newly elected Lok Sabha. Recently concluded elections provide a glimpse of their representation. Close to 800 women contestants were in the fray. In the fray means they competed, they contested. But the number of women members of parliament has dipped to 74 from 78 in 2019 of 543 members, which is 13.6% of the total. 800 contested, but what is the representation? 74. That too dipped to 74 from 78, 78 in 2019, 74 in 2024. These numbers are not a good sign in the backdrop means background, in the background of Women's Reservation Bill 2023 yet to come into effect, which aims to reserve one third of the seats in the Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies for women. These numbers don't bode well when it comes to against the backdrop of women's reservation. All underperforming countries, including India, must heed. Heed means listen to or pay attention to. World Economic Forum Managing Director Sadia Zahidi's words, calling for governments to strengthen the framework conditions needed for business and civil society. There are two things they have to. Are they not uploading the PDF regularly? I'll just find out, cross check, and let you know. Tejashwini. Business and civil society to work together to make gender parity an economic imperative. Imagine business and civil society together, they join hands, then more representation that is good for women, that is good for the economy as well. There's an economic imperative or implication, you can say. That's all about the editorial. Try to answer these questions based on your comprehension skill. No, who is this? Our believer. Intentionally, I have not taken the bilingual approach. You may ask why. I do in English because you may not be good at English, you may be a beginner, but the way I speak, very simple English and neutral accent, if you watch these videos for 1 week, you can easily follow. And in that process, what happens? You raise your standards. One has to come out of the comfort zone. Bilingual, not a big deal, but you will not be able to raise your standards or improve your standards. If your real intention is to become good at English, raise your standards, you have to listen to someone who uses English all the time. Only then you can improve. One has to come out of the comfort zone, always remember. What is the global gender gap percentage that has been closed as of 2024? Answer is B. How many years is it estimated to take to achieve full gender parity at the current rate? Yes, yes. Irrespective of your place, I do it because here objective is to make sure you become good at English and you get more marks in the exam. Keeping that in mind, we have to take English approach. No doubt, initially you may find it very difficult to understand, but always remember all things are difficult before they are easy. Initially, anything is difficult. You attend for 1 week, you can easily follow for two reasons. One, I use very simple English, I speak very slowly, and my accent is neutral accent, 134 years. Which country ranks number one in the Global Gender Gap Report 2024? Easy to answer. Iceland. Which country is that? Iceland. What rank did India achieve in the Global Gender Gap Report 2024? What is India's rank? Two steps back. Question number 4, 129. From 127 to 129. Which area has seen slight regressions contributing to India's lower ranking in the report? Two areas have been mentioned. What are those two areas where you see slight regression? Slight, not much. Subtle, nominal. One is education and the other political empowerment. It begins with that. I have brought questions based on exam topics. First three questions based on error location. Persistent poverty has been a key reason for mobilization of a narrow ethnic basis, a radical version of which has been espoused by organizations such as ULFA. This is a challenging question, not easy. You got to read meticulously. One student responds, then I will give the answer. At least one student has to respond. Question number 1, error location. Here, no one has responded. Persistent poverty has been, present perfect active voice, a key reason, nothing wrong, for mobilization. First part, no error. Second part, also no error. But for mobilization of, no, it has to be mobilization on, not of. Mobilization based on, you should understand that way. Mobilization means here gathering people, collecting people, gathering people on something, on a particular factor based on something. Based on what? A narrow ethnic basis. So mobilization on, not off. There's an error in the third part. Go to question number 2. The Bharatiya Janata Party BJP has said that as these tableaus were meant for the political promotion of opposition parties, they did not make the cut. A question like this, you have to look at the verbs. Past, past. There are two verbs in past. That means that context goes into the past. Nothing wrong with that. Though the reporting verb is in present perfect. Usually I tell students if the reporting verb is in present, present perfect or future, tenses do not change. That means what? They must have made the statement in past. Two clauses, both in past. Nothing wrong with that. There is an error in the third part. What is wrong with the third part? Here we have tableau singular. What is the plural of that? Tableux, not S. Tableaus. Tableaus spelling, not the last letter is not S, it is X. Based on that, we have an error in the third part. Not easy. Question number 3, the choice to stop electricity supply to areas when cyclonic winds can damage power cables and cause live wires to drop into flooded streets appears logical and sensible. The choice appears logical and sensible. See how so much gap between Tableau, if you consider Republic Day celebrations, you see actually literal meaning of tableau. People positioned, people on a particular platform remain as they are, no movement, they don't speak, they don't move. And on the platform, they remain in the same position representing a particular culture. That is known as a tableau, a platform on which people stand as they are without speaking, without moving, and a theme representing a particular culture. Here we are talking about areas. When we say areas, we cannot say when. We have to use where. Areas where cyclonic winds can damage power cables. Obviously, how can we say areas when? We have to say areas where damage is likely to happen. We got these words on Saturday. Saturday I could not do. See if you can get all the seven. Then you come to know to what extent you are good at editorial vocabulary. Because I did not do the session on Saturday, but we got these on Saturday. Saturday's editorial. Cease fire, and you have to find out the synonyms. Answer is a synonym G, truce. Abstain synonym refrain. Elusive synonym evasive, difficult to get. Displaced, uprooted. Plea means appeal. Clinch, clinch, hold tight, one meaning. Secure a deal or a contract. Secure. Oh, you got all correct. That's wonderful. Be happy. And rogue state. Saturday editorial about the proposal by the US President Joe Biden, a three-phase proposal regarding the war between Israel and Hamas. In that context, the editorial said Israel, a rogue state. Rogue here means rebel. If you have got all correct, you should be happy because I did not do the session on Saturday. Good morning. Who is this? About to wind up. The session is almost over. Oh, the session is at 9, and usually I spend 45 to 55 minutes. But today, a short editorial completely based on statistical data, nothing to analyze, about to wind up, in fact. That's all for today. Hmm. You cannot, as simple as that. You have to be a student of SREEDHA'S CCE. Only then you can. Otherwise, you cannot. We are not accessible. Have a nice day. And regarding the PDF, I'll find out. Someone says not being uploaded regularly. I'll check. I'll make sure it is uploaded every day. Thank you very much.